Hello and welcome to episode 82 of Radio Gorepress. I am Phil. With me, as always, are Sarah and Rosie. How are you guys?
Hi.
Finding something hilarious.
Do you want an honest
Rosie?
answer to that question, Phil?
It's been a day.
I'm going to take your lack of response as no. So I am fantastic. Everything is wonderful.
Everything is
Good to know.
awesome.
Yes.
She's got a very, very big glass of wine.
It's not that
That
big.
says a lot.
Oh, you're just holding it really close to the camera.
Fantastic.
Oh, and your hand's grown exponentially as well. How you doing, Pip?
Yeah, not too bad. Just trucking on, as always. That's it. That's my news.
Cool. Inspired.
Love it. You're welcome. Welcome to our first proper COVID-19 friendly episode.
I mean, all of them are COVID-19 friendly.
I mean, I guess fair point, but you know, remote friendly. We're speaking from different places at the moment, so if you hear any audio issues, maybe not issues, differences, perhaps
Discrepancies.
that's why. Discrepancies. There we go. But yeah, before I go on any further, I'd just like to say if you guys love what we do, feel free to leave a rating on iTunes or Podbean or wherever you find us, YouTube. We all love and appreciate you for it. And feel free to check us out on social media. Just search Radio Gorepress. We'll be on all the three main ones. And I'm not going to tell you which ones they are. You'll have to guess.
You're going to have to do some Google foo.
Bebo.
Oh my God.
LinkedIn.
And Face Party.
Face Party.
Yeah, Face Party. The precursor to MySpace.
You might also find us on Friends Reunited.
and Grindr.
That's just Rosie.
Yeah, that is just me.
I'm actually not on Friends Reunited. I mean, I was.
I thought you were going to say I'm actually not on Grindr.
Not last time I checked. I've never checked. I'm lying. No. Well, technically, I am. I was on Friends Reunited, but it said that I died.
You died?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because people can know whether you've passed away or where you're living and stuff like that. So somebody killed Sarah. Pass it on.
Oh no, I did it because I hated everyone I went to school with.
Well, there you go. Why have we been debating how Sarah's haunting herself?
That's like
it is all clear.
It's the Tesco value faking your own death, just notifying everyone on Face Party or whatever.
Am I Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense? Have I gone 18 years without realising that I died? No.
Unless everybody else is also Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense and has gone 18 years without realising that you've died.
Is that why a very small Haley Joel Osment's been following me this whole time?
No, that's Lucille. That's your cat.
Oh, it's uncanny. It's hard to tell.
Both very fluffy.
Anyway.
So this episode is a bit late in it, but a response to the unfortunate and sad news of Stuart Gordon's passing. We thought we'd do an episode to honour him. And we have settled on doing an episode on Robot Jox. And I'm sure, Neil, somewhere out there, you are ecstatic about this. But yeah, we're doing Robot Jox today. What have you guys known about it before watching it?
I'd seen it already.
Okay, that was exactly what I expected.
Oh, thanks. Absolutely nothing. Hadn't even heard of it. Didn't know it was a film that existed. And I'm really sad about that.
It's good, isn't it? Sorry, spoilers.
Spoilers.
But
We've been
do you
Radio
know what?
Gorepress. See you next time.
Bye. It was a film that whilst I was watching it, I was like, oh, I wish I'd watched this when I was a kid.
Right?
Like, I wish I'd watched it when I was about 6 or 7, and I was like fully into Transformers and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah, I have in my notes that it's Pacific Rim with the Power Rangers aesthetic.
They're all Megazords.
I know Robot Jox came beforehand.
I think you'll find that Pacific Rim was Robot Jox meets Godzilla. All the way around.
I'm aware Pacific Rim came later.
Yeah, the guys who made Robot Jox went, there's going to be a film come out in about 20 years' time. But we need to be more like that.
It's funny you should mention Transformers, though, because the screenwriter, I think was Stuart Gordon as well. Did he write it as well? Probably should have looked this up beforehand. Either way, it was inspired by the Transformers franchise.
I'm not surprised at all.
Yeah, it was like, oh, that would make a really good film, and actually created a live-action version.
Well, I'm willing to bet he hadn't seen the Transformers film then, which was awesome.
Weirdly, I have a lot of the same complaints about the Transformers movies as I do about Pacific Rim.
No. I mean the cartoon film.
Oh.
From the 90s.
I was a GoBots girl.
You northerners. No, I mean like the OG Transformers was such a decent cartoon that they made it into a much longer cartoon. And I bought it from Tesco's, and it was amazing. What?
It was Joe Haldeman who wrote it. I wildly guessed, and I was wrong. So Joe Haldeman was the one who was inspired by Transformers.
Oh,
am I right in thinking that?
Mm-hmm.
Am I right in thinking this is a bit of a family like thing? Not because of Haldeman, but like Charles Band and begins with an A, Al Band or something.
Well, Charles Band
both produced it. He was like an executive producer, wasn't he?
Charles Band is the Full Moon guy. He runs Full Moon Pictures. And I think it's really interesting huh?
Nothing.
I think it's really interesting that like Charles Band's known for sort of like Puppet Master, demonic toys like Doll Graveyard, tiny things, and then for him to produce this,
it's just
like, fuck it.
Although,
let's do big things.
Well, the stop motion is like a tiny thing, so
this is true. We'll get to that. The stop motion was fantastic. But yeah, actually, like Charles Band had something of a working relationship with Stuart Gordon, because I know at least he also did Castle Freak.
Again, something I've never heard of.
Right, so like Stuart Gordon has a habit of adapting H.P. Lovecraft stories.
Okay.
And Castle Freak is one of them. It's the usual suspects. Really? Literally, Lovecraft, Stuart Gordon, Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton.
Hey.
Amazing.
Everyone present and correct.
I want to see it right now.
It's really underrated, actually. Really underrated. It's a fun movie.
Okay.
We should have done that.
Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to fuck off for a bit, go and watch that, and then record a new film.
I know it's a bit, that's actually a good time to bring it up. It's a bit of an odd choice, I appreciate that, but it was a film we all had access to. Usually we all meet up and watch a film together, so however we find it, we're all around to watch the same movie, whereas we had limited access to Stuart Gordon's movies, which is why Robot Jox was our choice.
So yeah, not strictly horror, but we did say that we were gonna start venturing out into the more cult like kind of films rather than just straight horror all the time. And I think actually this was a really good one to sort of enter into that with.
Weirdly, I think it'd been a few years since I'd seen this movie, and I'd like muddled it up with a different movie that I think
was it Pacific Rim?
It was not Pacific Rim.
Was it Robot Cox?
It wasn't Robot Cox, which doesn't exist. I'm so sad about that.
I'm really, really disappointed.
Robot Cox exists, but as a parody film, it does not exist. The
Thank you for the
concept
clarification.
Exists. I don't know. Like, it could have been the Time Guardian, or so, like one of those like Eliminators or America 3000 that we talked about covering. And
we're going to get onto Eliminators later. I'm just going to
Interesting.
say this right now.
Does it involve
Interesting.
tank tracks?
Oh, yes.
But I think, like, everything about Robot Jox I remembered, but there was stuff I was waiting to happen that didn't happen.
Oh, that's like the worst kind of surprise.
Yeah. So I'd, like, added in a bunch from a different film that was not Robot Jox or Robot
And then
Cox.
there's a panda, and then they all go to Saturn, and again, going into space. We'll talk about that.
We will.
So I think, Rosie, you've got a synopsis for us, I believe.
Oh, do I?
Hopefully.
I mean, I do. In the distant future, mankind has forsaken global wars for battles of single combat. The world has been divided into two opposing superpowers, with each side represented by trained champions. Their weapons are huge robotic machines capable of battle on land, sea, and in the air. Question. How'd they know that? At no point is there a sea battle in this film.
But they are capable of it.
How do you know that?
The synopsis says so. You just said those
Fucking
words.
said anything.
Also,
I could have said anything.
you could have done. Why didn't you? Why didn't you take that opportunity to make some shit up?
Because I am not that quick at thinking on my feet.
They are capable of shrinking down and having inner space type battles inside someone.
Yes, they have shrinky dinky capabilities.
Like an inverse Robot Jox. Ignore me, continue. I'm literally just thinking of inner space.
One of them wins by shrinking down really small and going into the other one's ear.
Oh, ear. You went with ear. Okay.
And
I wondered where that was going.
And punching them directly in their actual face by being the size of a human but a robot.
Is that the synopsis?
I want to see that film.
Robot socks. Robot socks. As in socking them.
Oh, Rock'em Sock'em
Nice.
Robots.
Doof. Yeah, Rock'em Sock'em Right. Ah, that's much better. What you said, yeah.
No, but that's the thing. I didn't make that up.
I know.
Whoever
I know.
invented Rock'em Sock'em Robots, don't sue me. I'm not laying claim to it.
Sarah said that was her
Nuh-uh.
idea.
No.
Before the episode.
I heard her with my own ears.
Be weird if you'd heard me with somebody else's.
Hey!
Continuing. So the opening scenes, did they give you any indication of what the actual film was going to be about? Because they look nothing like the rest of the film.
They make it look like a war-torn land. Which they preface by going, war is illegal, so nobody's allowed any fun anymore.
Much like now. Joy is outlawed.
War is illegal. No smiling, no laughing, no war. What's the point?
But yeah, like the first few minutes so far, so Terminator, I guess.
Yeah, it was super apocalyptic, wasn't it?
Doof, 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 doof.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, now I can't do visual gags. Damn it.
Our only chance.
So, the lead guy, who we get introduced to pretty fucking quickly, has Achilles has what I can only describe as a really fucking 80s face.
Right?
Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah, in the same way that John Hurt has a really 80s face.
Had.
Oh, too soon, man. Too soon.
It was ages ago. I love John Hurt. What do you mean too soon?
I can't believe you wanted him dead.
I was like, oh, John Hurt, fuck that guy. He was the storyteller, Rosie. The storyteller.
But in a very John Hurt in like alien way, very 80s face. Very 80s face.
Bit rubbery.
Like, yeah, kind of weathered, but also made of plastic.
Like if a human was a sweaty puppet.
Or if somebody made an old man G.I. Joe.
Yeah! Oh my god!
Like a middle-aged G.I. Joe. They would look like
that had been sat in the driveway for a few weeks.
Been run over a bit.
Yeah. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and it goes back to what we were saying in previous shows about like in the 80s, like
people look
quite
like
specifically people look like real people. Yeah, they weren't sort of the traditionally beautiful all American like guys or girls that you see a bit later on, like the 90s.
Yeah,
and they just look really real. Apart from that guy who looks like he's made of wax.
Yeah, like a candle that's just gotten a bit warm.
Yeah, and somebody's made some little scrapes in it and pushed their fingers into the wax.
Yeah.
I totally get what you mean.
The scars that they'd put on his face, the makeup, kept moving.
Oh, they changed every scene.
Did anyone else notice that?
Every single shot, they were like half-inching across his face. Yeah. Like maybe it wasn't a scar. Maybe it was a skin-coloured caterpillar.
You've just blown
That's
my
horrendous. Mind. I've now got a new nightmare.
Maybe that was his best friend.
Oh.
Yeah, and you like joked about it. I hope you feel like shit.
Was the caterpillar Achilles all along? He was just
like the actual.
It was like Men in Black, and he was just driving this giant rubbery man suit.
So it's like Robot Jox. Like, yeah. Wow.
We've just added.
We're talking Inception, Robot Jox.
We've just added layers and dimensions that this film does not deserve.
Who's controlling who?
Not at all. Did anybody else go, the protagonist is called Achilles? Something's going to happen to his ankle.
Yes. I was, in my notes, it was like, I feel if you're going to name yourself after like famous Greek heroes, naming yourself after one of the ones who is known for being a bit shit is probably not the best idea.
Well, no, he's really fucking good.
Until he's a bit shit.
One little bit of him.
Yeah. But everyone knows him for that one little bit of him.
That's true.
It was like they may as well have called him like Icarus and his main weapon be some wax wings.
To go with his wax face.
To go with, arguably, it would have been more fitting.
That would have been the better choice. Well, we can't contact Stuart Gordon anymore. Shit.
Your secret weapon is flying into the sun.
Which he does. I mean, not in the sun, but, heads toward it at least.
We start off with what I did think at the beginning of the film was the slowest of deaths. Like when Alexander goes to stamp on that on the champion's like head and crush him like a bug with the worst Russian accent.
That right there, better Russian accent than his.
Yeah, I thought so. I've been practicing it. He's so bad. Right. But yeah, I thought that was the slowest death scene in potentially a lot of films I've seen, and it turns out it wasn't even the slowest, like almost death scene in the entire film.
No. Like
it reminded me of
Paul Rubens
that
in
bit in Austin Powers.
I was hoping I'd get
It reminded me of Austin Powers.
No.
Where he's got the like steamroller coming towards him and it's like and it just goes back and forth between that scene.
Yeah. I mean, I would cite Robot Jox as an influence on Austin Powers. I don't know. Let's just go with that.
Let's say yes. Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely the sort of film that Mike Myers would have seen.
And loved.
Yeah. 100%.
Every time somebody says Mike Myers, I think of Michael Myers. And then I'm just like, imagine him sitting there watching Robot Jox with some popcorn.
I mean, he might too. Who knows? It's hard to read him.
Space is all covered.
It's all shattery.
You find out there are robot spies.
Mm-hmm.
Robot espionage.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so Phil.
Hello.
Like, help me out here, man. You're presenting.
I mean, yeah. I've been waiting in the wings. What can I help you with?
Presenting the show?
Okay. I thought you were going to ask a question. So we have Achilles, we have Tex Avery or Tex Conway or whatever
Tex
he's called.
Conway.
Oh my god, that guy.
Tex Conway, who is super Texan.
Mm-hmm.
Maximum over Texan.
We have Professor Matsumoto, I believe, if memory serves.
Yes,
Who is
Matsumoto.
the Japanese weapon technician.
We have the creepy blind sister from Don't Look Now.
Oh, really?
Oh, what? Laplace,
Uh-huh.
the lady who is creating the tubies.
Yeah, the older British lady.
Yeah, I did not clock that she was the same woman from Don't Look Now, and now you say it, I'm like, fuck yeah, of course it is. One of the only notes I have about her is that she has the smallest chin, a really tiny chin.
Almost chinless. Also, she's not blind. We've been lied to.
She did loads of seeing in this film. It was bullshit.
She did! With both her fucking eyes. Which watchdog do I write to about this?
BBC.
Watchdog, pun intended.
Get it run out by Terry Wogan.
BBC.
You fucking nerd.
God.
Tex Contexus comes out with my favourite line potentially of the entire film, which is "Soil is just dirt." Yeah, brilliant.
He's
well
not
done.
wrong.
Very good point. I don't know why I didn't think of it before. It's changed my entire worldview.
My perspective is forever altered.
Right. I think it's second only to right. I'm going to bring this up now. The phrase "crash and burn," right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Like crash and burn, thumbs up, crash and burn. Hope you fucking die. Like why don't you fuck off and get killed? Crash and burn. That's not a nice thing to say to someone who's about to go into battle with a robot.
Maybe that's in the same way that like break a leg has become like the theatrical thing. Maybe that's the Robot Jox equivalent.
That's clearly what they thought of. Like, Stuart Gordon was sitting there going, I know what would be really fucking clever. And why doesn't everyone say crash and burn? It would be like break a leg. But literally, they are just like fist bumping each other with their thumb out, going, hope you fucking die.
Whee!
Oi, oi, lads. Don't even get me started on the fucking like quality bum patting going on.
The sheer misogyny in this film. I have written in my notes. I have written the sexism in capital letters.
I wrote enter arrow woman.
Don't enter arrow woman. That's so consensual.
Achilles does ask to make a direct deposit.
So are we all in agreement that all of the characters pretty much are terrible?
Oh, they all suck.
No, Matsumoto's awesome.
Apart from Matsumoto.
Matsumoto is wholesome as shit.
But for the most part, all the characters are terrible, right?
Like almost without exception.
I have one more.
Okay.
The barman,
Who
because
was-
not only is he just generally a really lovely person by the sounds of it, he did turn round to Achilles and say, part of my job is not serving you when you're too drunk, and you're really fucking drunk, so I'm not serving you. And that's what a good barman should do. He did go on to give him a mint julep afterwards, like apropos of nothing, but I'm willing to look past that.
Also, he is actual Stuart Gordon. The barman was actual Stuart Gordon.
Was it?
Mm-hmm. He has a cameo role.
See, I knew he was a good guy.
His full title.
Actual Stuart, like the actor Kevin Eldon.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf.
Actual barman Stuart Gordon.
So what did you guys think, since it plays such a big part in the film, of all the special effects? Should we talk a bit about that?
I'm not sure I'd call all the effects special.
I think they're special in their own way.
I have a real soft spot for stop motion, and I think some of it was
it's
actually
really like
done
homegrown.
Like, I mean, Harryhausen was unbothered, but it was actually done pretty well for what was not a big budget sci-fi flick. I think they kind of went with what they had, and they utilized what they had and what they could, and some of it worked really well, like surprisingly well.
I'm going to say they actually got through a lot of the film with very little effects at all. Like, a vast proportion of the film doesn't have any effects in it. It's just, like, concentrated into the fights, basically.
Yeah. And actually,
there aren't that many fights.
I was about to say, actually, for a film called Robot Jox that sells itself on, like, fighting or, like, warring robots, not much of it. I have to say.
Not much at all. And kind of, I'm not going to say boring. I said I'm not going to say boring.
You just said boring twice.
Fuck you. I'm not going to say that word that you keep on looking shocked about. But it's not like balls to the wall, doof, 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 punch each other in the face. There's one bit where a robot is punching another robot, and it literally looks like it's tapping it just on the head. And it's like it's meant to be pummeling it over and over again. Like, bam, 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 bam. And it's actually just kind of going, ding, hello. Ding. Hello. Hello, is anybody home? And it's not quite the high octane experience I would have imagined from warring robots.
Is that what you had hoped for? A high octane experience?
I think I'd hoped for the fight scenes, whether they were between robots or humans, to be a little bit more on the fucking ball. It felt very... I'm reticent to say lazy.
It felt
camp. It was just kind of slow. Like it was all very... It was clearly like methodical, and all the moves were planned out, and it was acted through. But either they didn't like practice it enough, or they did, but it was just... It's like when you sing a song that you've heard, and you automatically sing it slower. And then when you listen to the actual song, you're like, oh, that's how fast it is. I felt like that's what happened. Like, their fight scenes were actually really slow. But had they watched an actual fight, they would have been like, oh, shit, that was meant to be much quicker.
I mean, I don't know. I would consider that a flaw in editing, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
It's tough because, you know, part of a good sort of animation, if you're dealing with things of scale, is animating the speed, because if something moves too quickly, it won't look big. It needs to be slow to be...
But like I said, it was the human fights as well.
Yeah. True.
Like, all of the action like it was all considered for slow motion. It all seemed to be really drawn out, and I don't know whether that was a active choice or whether it just wasn't directed in the way that I anticipated it to be.
Like it was just a limitation of what they had available. And
yeah, probably.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. It's not necessarily something that occurred to me while I was watching, but yeah, now as soon as you've said it, I'm just like, yeah, okay.
It kind of like the fights between people kind of look a bit like they're fighting through treacle almost, because they're going, right, I need to do this move, then this move, then this move. And yeah, absolutely.
That's fair.
I wanted full out eyeball gouging brawling.
Dick punching. You got none of that.
Well, you say that.
I mean, now's a good time to ready to talk about it, so go for it.
Can we just take a second? We've talked a little bit about the sexism and the misogyny that's ever present. I mean, one of the first lines that I actually wrote down was, some of them ain't too bad to look at, though, when they're referencing the fact that there are now female fighters.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want to punch my TV.
Yeah, this has never been all right. Even in the 80s, that wasn't all right.
But, so how do you feel about, what's her name? Athena? Is she called Athena?
In terms
it's
of?
been a few days.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Just
in terms of?
Like, as a female lead, how do you feel about her? She's not characterized brilliantly, but then she's a part of this kind of like race of people who've been bred for a specific purpose, but argue that they are still human. But she doesn't do a brilliant job of arguing that, because she sort of lacks humanity in a lot of
I find it really interesting. I was about to say that they seem to be completely emotionally bereft, and they kind of move like humans, but they don't talk like humans, and it's that whole like more human than human kind of thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's all a bit artificial.
Yeah. I didn't necessarily see her as being robotic or as being engineered in any sense. I just kind of saw her as being a bit of a dickhead.
She wasn't great, right?
Like her lack of empathy manifested itself in me going, oh, I don't like you, rather than me going, oh, she's been bred in a lab, she's a test tube person.
But I was under the impression that we were supposed to root for her the whole time, and I was just like, she ain't.
I mean, from the point of view of my feminism badge being firmly set in place and going, you fucking climb up that metal climbing frame and you kick that guy in the nuts and you do the thing and you be the big robot. Like I was all for Athena.
Yeah.
And the bit where Achilles tries to kiss her and she bites him, I was like, fuck yes.
Which I loved. Like so many films would have. Sorry to interrupt, but so many films would have like gone into that cliched, then they have this really like passionate sex scene, and what didn't happen. Like it was kind of great. We
literally had that conversation in the mini-sode. Hint hint, join the Patreon. But I watched an Umberto Lenzi film. I think it was I've forgotten. No, it was an Italian horror called Nightmare City that I'd never seen, and it was like, as I said to Phil during the mini-sode, it was, if you looked at it as like a prequel to Garth Marenghi, I think you'd enjoy it more, because there is literally a point at which the main character, who is a male reporter, and he's interacting with the female lead, who's a female doctor, and she's hysterical, and he slaps her across the face, and she kind of goes, "No, you're right," and then just kisses him, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
I want to see it so I can get angry too.
Oh no, I don't know. I'll tell you more about it later, because I don't want to give away the paid content for free.
You absolutely should do. Although I looked a bit like kombucha girl there. I'm well aware of that. But the only bum patting evident in this film was not was not male to female. Apart from that one time when it was.
Like the introductory scene.
No, wait, what?
Was there not bum patting? Have I imagined bum patting?
No, the bum patting. When Achilles goes into his robot, the guy who's standing guard on the door of the robot slaps him on the arse as he's going in. And the only reason that they work out it's not Achilles when Athena goes in there is because he slaps her on the arse and she takes offence. And then he's like, wait a minute, you're not the guy I like slapping on the arse.
I'd forgotten all about that. That's brilliant.
That's literally how they figure out that it's not him, by a bum pat.
But that's like...
a quality bum patting.
That's a big thing in like male-dominated sports though, isn't it? All playing fucking...
guys being dudes.
Just ass grabbing. But it's not gay, no homo. Do you know what I mean? There's that
That's
whole
what
culture.
I like to see.
And it's very regressive. And I know this was made in the 80s, but...
Well, they call them all jocks as well.
Yeah, true. I suppose it's bound to play into the stereotypes.
But they put an X at the end because it's the future. You'll be very proud of me.
Oh God.
Because I recognised a person. Because I didn't really pay any attention to who was in the film because I assumed I wouldn't know anyone. And then there was the scene where they're putting a bet on Achilles to win, and I was like, hey, it's the guy from Reanimator. And then in my mind I was like, Achilles dead, details later. And I knew him. I knew who it was, and I was really proud.
It's not a Stuart Gordon film without Jeffrey Combs, though, is it?
I'm gonna tell Sarah that, and she'll give me virtual head pats and tell me I deserve a cookie.
I'm high-fiving you. Can you tell?
Demolition Man high five.
So, was it ever? Sorry,
Achilles. Rosie? I mean, after that point, Achilles does get into the robot, which I figured was made out of entirely broken hoovers and washing up liquid bottles.
I will never tire of the phrase "getting into the robot." It's brilliant.
He alights the robot.
Just slips into something a little bit more comfortable.
Is a light getting on or getting off?
Oh.
It's a light to...
A light is getting off, isn't it?
Who's getting off a robot?
Robot cars.
Who's getting off with a robot? So he gets out of his wet clothes and into a dry robot.
Yeah. After he's been slapped on the arse, presumably.
They call it Matsumoto 14, but I was a bit cross at you, Phil, because you said that he was a weapons technician. He built the fucking robot.
I remember him
because him.
I watched it a couple of days ago.
This is true.
I remember him from
Did you make notes?
I made notes. I have notes here. Notes.
And then they say ready for Waldo check, which I can only imagine is them playing a game of Where's Waldo.
I was curious what that was all about.
Yeah, basically, it all goes quiet for 5 minutes while they're going, no, that's just a guy who's wearing... No, that's just a guy who's wearing the same top as Waldo. No, it's not him. I found the dog!
Why? Side note. Why is it Waldo in America and Canada and Wally over here?
Does Wally mean dick in America?
Everything means dick in America, doesn't it? They have like so many euphemisms for dick over there.
Apart from fanny, which just means bum.
Confusingly, yes. Like the term fanny pack grosses me out. No end.
Front bum bag. That's what it should be called.
I don't think I like that either.
It'll be safe. I'll put it in my front bum bag.
That is horrendous.
And I've got a bum bag and I wear it on the front. So that's like,
See?
I can't really talk.
So
No.
fanny packs is like a bum bag, but nobody wears it on their bum.
No. Oh, this is so confusing.
I don't understand.
We call
because
it
it doesn't look.
Are
a
you
bum bag.
supposed to wear it on the back? Because that doesn't feel right.
Has everyone in the history of man been wearing bum bags wrong? Have you seen those dickheads who wear them across their shoulders?
Yes, that's like a real sort of millennial thing, isn't it? I say
That's a
to
TikTok
two
challenge in
millennials.
itself.
You're a millennial,
I'm not
Sarah.
a millennial, I'm too old. Do you know what I am? Do you know what I'm referred to as? A zennial, which I fucking hate.
Oh, really?
The name makes me want to
What year
throw
were you born
up.
in?
Do you need to text it to us?
1982.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
You're
I'm
same age
technically
as-
not
You're
a
same age as
millennial.
Abby, aren't you? No, you're not.
Which is
No, 'cause
weird.
it's 85 onwards, isn't it?
Which is fucking
85,
weird
is
because
it?
I love avocado toast, so.
Right?
And I own 2 bum bags.
I mean,
It's fine. That'll earn you your millennial card.
You are
It's fine.
only as millennial as you feel.
I should be a TikTok superstar by now.
Why aren't you?
Because,
It's a valid point. It's a
Acceptable
very
answer,
valid
yes.
point.
like, I put it to you that I don't want to. So,
And I cannot argue with that.
I quite enjoyed back to the film.
Oh, do we have
wow.
Sorry, I mean, fine. The kind of clear Japanese influences.
to? Oh, yeah, like mech anime all the way through.
Matsumoto,
Not just
the
Matsumoto.
Japanese guy in it, yes.
The weapons expert.
The weapons technician.
This is the last
of
time I
Phil.
present this, guys.
He's just a guy who works in the lab every so often. You are
but it wasn't just that.
racist.
It wasn't just that. It was the kind of paper walls. I looked it up. There's an insult that Achilles does to Alexander, I believe, where he pulls
With
his
his
eyelid
eye.
down. Yeah, which I thought
Oh.
that's the thing that triggered it because I was like, that's a super. Because I'm a massive weeb, I see it all the time in anime. So I've
Weeb
kind of
doesn't sound
associated
like a
it
positive
with.
thing. What does that mean?
Oh no, it's not. It's not.
Weeaboo.
What does that mean?
It means that you are a white Caucasian who is obsessed with Japanese culture.
Oh.
So I looked
Yeah.
it up, and it's called the
He's got
Akanbe,
a pillow
which is,
with an anime girl on it.
that was bought for me. That was bought for me.
Is this the
As a
first of
joke.
like?
I need
Is
to
this the
clarify,
first
as
of
a
several
joke.
conversations that lead to you telling us you've got a sex robot?
God, don't even start.
Don't even
I'm
start
gonna take
on
that
his
as a
sex
yes.
robot.
So I like that you brought the conversation back to fighting robots, though.
Yes, many fighting robots. They do get into a big fight. Alexander and Achilles have their first big fight.
Alexander doing his best Yul Brynner impression. I feel threat.
I am a Russian. Give me the vodka at the bar. And for some reason, he knows about Achilles' secret green laser and has his own.
Ooh.
It's not much of a secret, though, is it?
I love that everyone's like, oh, I can't believe you found out about the green laser. Like, no one had ever seen a green laser in the future before.
Also, they've talked about it openly, like, quite a bit.
Green laser check. Yep, got our green lasers.
Oh, the secret one. Yep, cool.
Oh, the secret green laser for secretly killing the robot. Ah, the secret one. Just before that point, I've got a note here so I can prove it. I didn't just write it in afterwards, I promise.
Okay.
That says, oh my god, Achilles' dad is the spy. Spoilers. Whatever. But I called it.
Yeah.
Right at the beginning of the film.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
because I noticed that because he was very keen to move the conversation along. It was like, I was meant to go back and check what was said, but it was pretty obvious with the way he acted that it was
we've got a spy in our midst. Oh, well, it's definitely not me. I would never tell the Russians about a green laser.
Applies fake moustache and moonwalks backwards.
Yeah, is in fact 3 owls in a trench coat.
They'd never suspect a thing.
I say I called it, but I think everyone fucking called it because it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So they get secret lasered right back.
Can we talk about the part where he goes to visit his family? At the point I was just like, oh, isn't it hilarious what everybody in the 80s thought the future would look like? And then there's just that shot of him outside a dilapidated apartment building and everybody's wearing fucking breathing apparatus. And I was just like, oh God, they called it.
Everyone's wearing N95. So when they come in, they're just like, don't breathe the air.
Yeah. I was like, oh, timely.
Yeah, isn't it though? Look at all those masks is what I'm going.
I mean, that and the enormous mech suits that are fighting in the street currently, they fucking nailed it, man.
Oh God, you are. Wait.
Oh no. Are you confused by your own notes? That happens to me often.
No, I'm confused by your timeline.
Oh. Oh no, I wasn't working to any specific timeline. I just thought of a thing and said it. Is that not how we work?
No, I mean, yeah, I think so. At this point, I think so. Yeah. So crash and burn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Back to that.
Why do they still think that's appropriate to say after he crashed and killed 300 people?
Yeah.
It's a very valid point, isn't it?
It's not appropriate at all.
I feel like it's a bit disrespectful.
Like if somebody had sort of, like if a character had been like, crash and burn, oh no. Like if they sort of, if they'd made a thing
crash
out of it. I'd have respected it more if they'd made it a thing. But no, just insensitive alpha male pricks.
Crash and... At the hearing they have directly afterwards, there were only 3 things that I wrote about. One, that the judges were 4 football refs in their black and white striped tops.
Yeah.
Secondly, the fact that they went, people died, irrelevant.
Kind of relevant,
absolutely
though.
fuck him. Yeah, really relevant.
Yeah.
And my third and most exciting point was that I couldn't get over the fact that every time they cut to a shot of Achilles, I noticed he had a tiny Japanese flag on his head.
That probably moved along with the small skinkle caterpillar.
When I was talking about Japanese influence earlier, my head did go there as well.
Yeah, a tiny flag-like Japanese influence right on his forehead.
That definitely wasn't, a cut.
Did you say forehead? Sorry, quick side note. That's a northern thing.
How did I say it?
Forehead. Instead of forehead. Forehead is definitely a northern thing. Occasionally truncated even further to fod.
Yeah, but you say tongue weird.
Tongue? How's that weird?
That's not how that word sounds.
Tongue.
Tongue?
How is that not accurate?
Tongue.
Are you going to give me shit about walnut as well?
Walnut. Walnut.
Say yesterday, Sarah.
Yesterday. Why is that weird?
Yeah, you always emphasise the day. So you're like, yesterday. Yesterday.
Fuck off.
So, can we talk about how...
No, we're still talking about yesterday, Phil. Yeah, you were saying.
Just how awful that trial is. For context, if anyone hasn't seen it, first off, you probably should have done, but I will.
For context, see it.
In the fight between Alexander and Achilles in their mech suits, the referees announced that they're not allowed to use long-range weaponry and instead have to kind of do hand-to-hand combat. And the Russians are secret super. Are you doing karate, Rosie?
I'm doing hand-to-hand combat.
Karate.
Okay, just checking.
Another weird northernism. I almost said Nordweirthenism.
Valid.
Not at all. It makes very not
No,
valid.
it's really not. It makes genuinely no
So
sense.
say the Southerners.
We're banding
So
up
say we
against you,
all.
Sarah.
Don't you Battlestar Galactica me.
Fracking toaster.
Oh, now I want to watch that.
Anyway,
Anyway.
I'm going to have to rewatch. Although that does also mean I have to watch the ending of Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, Fat Adama though. I love Fat Adama.
Season 3 was the best season!
It was so fun. Brilliant. What, this
you were
is still
saying,
topical.
Phil,
Carry on, Phil.
about the film that we're meant to be talking about.
The referees rule out long range weaponry, and despite that, the Russian launches his robot fist at the audience.
He fists the audience.
He fists the audience. At which point, Achilles in his mech dives to protect the audience and
accepts the fisting himself.
yes, all of this is true.
I'm way too old to be laughing this hard at that.
So then the
And
referees
yet-
call off the match, and we enter the trial where to determine the outcome of this fight.
Where the football referees
Yes,
say
exactly
that
that.
dead people are irrelevant.
But I want to know what the Russians' arguments were, because that seems like a really cut and dry trial. Like,
Oh, literally, the Americans went, we should win because those guys cheated. And then nothing else was said. And the referees went, we've decided we don't care. It's a draw.
right? Worst trial ever. Like, what did the Russians say to convince them that he had any, like, weight in that argument, in that trial?
I put it to you.
It doesn't
Carry
matter.
on. I want to hear this. I want to hear
The
this.
Russians control everything.
My honor.
Phil. They have Putin on their side.
Oh my gosh, oh. He rides a bear.
So from then, Achilles refuses to participate in the announced rematch, which is in a week's time.
And they offer him loads of money. And then he goes, what I want is out. And he turns around and like for a split second, he can't work the door. It made me laugh so much.
I didn't notice that, but now I feel I need to rewatch it.
on the control panel.
In
before the
Mother
door
Russia,
opens.
doors open you.
In Soviet Russia, robots sit inside you.
Continue, Phil.
Yes, you were saying,
you.
Phil. Why have I written a true Russian ham?
You've written what?
A true Russian ham.
Ham. H-A-M.
Oh, because his acting was really hammy. That's why.
Oh.
A true Russian ham. When he was in the bar and he's going like, "Oh, I want to taste your blood."
Wait, he was the Count from Sesame Street.
He was.
One.
Yes. Do robot fistings. Yeah,
I missed
that's
that, but
exactly
no, I
what he
feel you.
sounded like.
Yeah.
And they also. Sorry.
No,
I'm sorry, Phil.
and they also.
At the bar, he goes over and he goes, "Oh, my friend," and he's like, "I ain't your friend, guy." And for the next 5 minutes, I was like, "I ain't your guy, pal.
buddy.
I ain't your buddy, pal." And then I had to rewind that scene and watch it again
You rewound
with the
it
actual words. Yeah,
on actual VHS.
don't be a prick.
Be kind, rewind. What's the term for it now?
Rewind.
Is
Clicked
it?
back.
Clicked back. That sounds shit, but it's more accurate, I suppose. Murder
would say
Pipe is
rewind.
rubbish.
I mean, you can still say rewind. People know what you mean.
Like when you say Hoover, I haven't actually got a Hoover. I've got a Dyson.
You've got a vacuum.
Yeah. That's my vacuum noise.
Does your vacuum cleaner sound like that?
It looks like Kirby, and when you press it on, its mouth opens and it just goes.
That sounds incredible.
It's really shit.
Oh.
It's got no capacity, and then it tends to like squidge in and then turn into whatever it's just sucked up off the floor. It's really annoying.
That sounds like my cat.
It's Burke. It's a pink fluffy Burke.
Oh, fuck.
He just inhales things and then turns into an elastic band.
Oh, no.
So, after the trial is declared a draw, Achilles
Is that what
kind of
happens in
starts.
trials?
Yeah,
If they're declared a draw.
I thought
After the
There
match
are
was
no
declared a draw
victors
in the trial, Achilles
Sorry, Phil,
kind
you're
of
not getting a look in.
right. Achilles kind of starts talking about his 10th match, and maybe I wasn't paying attention. Was that ever expanded on?
No.
The idea of like having a set, like what was that all about?
Well,
Did you
they
guys
have 10
know?
and then
It
retire.
says- No, in his contract, he fights 10 matches, or he fights 10
endures
matches
10
and then he
fistings.
retires. He endures 10 fistings and then he gives his Robo Bum a break. And he he fought 9 matches. Fuck! He fought 9 matches and won them.
Mm-hmm.
But he started this one, but he didn't finish it. So he's like, it's in my contract. I've done 10 fights. And the guy's like, you haven't finished it. You haven't won it. It's not over until somebody wins. Rah, rah, rah. And he's like, no, fuck you. And that's when he tries to get out the door and fucks it. Not literally. But it's never spoken about beforehand that he has a contract for 10 fights. It's
Yeah,
just
also-
like it's just some exposition that they pop in.
Also, can we talk about the fact that he's illiterate?
Yes.
Right.
What
I'll
the
get
fuck?
illiterate, but can jury rig
Uh-huh.
complex robotics.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's outrageous.
Full wires.
Yeah. And also, illiterate, but can read on occasion. When the script calls for it.
I can't read, but I'm not dumb. But you are, because you can read.
Oh.
So, yeah, that, yeah. And what did that add to the film?
Well, that's the
Was
thing.
it
Like,
supposed to make him more sympathetic? I guess.
Like, oh, he's just one of us because he also can't read.
Yeah, he also a prole.
I feel that's kind of Rosie. Sorry.
No, carry on. You're all good.
No, I feel it's kind of. I don't know. Almost no. Doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Brilliant. So next there is an interpretive dance class.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Which ordinarily I would love. Because it always makes me think of Peep Show.
I'm like, I don't know what training to be in a giant mecha robot they were doing, but it looked like they were trying to be trees.
With a little bit of like an audition for Pans people in there.
And then they were like, yeah, good workout, guys. Hit the showers. What? You did fuck all. You literally did nothing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that entire scene is an excuse to get Athena pregnant. Pregnant, naked.
I was going to say, like, did I miss something?
It says underneath that note, prenatal stuff everywhere. That's
Yeah.
where my mind went.
Pergonate.
Like
Gotcha.
so many posters for pregante. Can you be pregnant?
Can we also talk about the fact that they like predated the whole like Starship Troopers co-ed shower thing by some years.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like it wasn't for the right reasons.
100%
I feel it was so that we could
not.
see
Yes.
it was purely so he could go, oh, a lady, in a kind of carry-on way,
Yeah.
and then we could see a bit of lady bum.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
I mean,
he may as well have had a little whistle going, ooh.
Apparently she is, however, the first woman jock anyway, so I guess unless they construct an entire shower just for her.
Are they all referred to as...
showers is the only...
Are they all referred to as Robot
like...
Jox, or is that just the plural? Because it's with an X, so it's very confusing.
I think I remember them being referred to as a single jock.
An individual jock.
In the film.
A collection
One jock,
of jocks.
many jocks.
Okay.
A bag of jocks.
Sure.
No, bullshit, Phil. I call bullshit on that.
Okay.
So what if she is the first female jock? She is allowed to have her own shower.
No,
they should
I
prepare
agree.
for that because they made her in a test tube.
That is a fair point, and presumably she didn't appear fully formed. So
they were trying to be all like forward thinking and like there's equality between men and women. Look at this woman doing amazing things, so they can all shower together.
But which would have worked were it not for all of the sexism that came before.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I'm all for the sort of the co-ed shower room, awesome. But like they're still othering her, so it doesn't work. And it wouldn't like in that environment, it wouldn't work. Yeah.
They're literally going, oh, look at the girl, look at her tits, and then going, oh, but men and women should be allowed to shower together in a safe space.
Yeah. But what we don't see in the courtroom are all the sexual harassment lawsuits that are brought and dismissed by the football referees.
That's why they got through this one so quickly, because they had so many sexual harassment lawsuits to get through.
Mostly men grabbing each other's bums, apparently.
Yeah, they love a good bum slapping. Quality bum pat. That's what they're all about. My cat.
What would a not quality bum pat entail? Does it depend on the patter?
Just a bit limp.
Oh, yeah. Nobody likes a limp pat.
like somebody
maybe some
kind
unwanted
of
hovering.
Like somebody kind of slapping their hand against your bum and then gently dragging it across.
Ew.
Yeah, that is not a quality bum pat.
You're correct.
See? I'm always right.
Agreed.
The boss, does he have a name? Like Grey Suit Boss?
I think he's called Grey Suit Boss.
Does anybody ever say his name? Because all the way through, every time I saw him, I was like, I really like his Sailor Moon badge.
I think, GSB. That's his name.
Grey Suit Boss.
Yeah.
He's just. Do you remember his badge? It was like a gold sort of triangle thing, and then it's got like a pink gem in the middle of it. And I was like, oh, I like it. That would make really good film merch.
Ooh, they missed a trick. Although, I feel like it's probably pertinent to point out that this film did actually bankrupt Empire Pictures. So I don't think there was
but it's become like a cult classic now, right?
It has, yeah, but I don't think there was like a ton of mad money left over for merchandise at the end of it. Nor did it do well enough to warrant that.
All I'm saying is that if I knew somebody who ran a jewellery company and did bespoke jewellery, then I would probably suggest that they made a badge of that particular thing. But I don't! So...
Babe, who's going to buy that? Nobody's going to buy
Me.
it. You're just going to ask for one for free.
Yeah.
Because you came up with the idea.
Can you make me one,
was
please?
this just a really roundabout way of saying, can you make me one of those?
I love it.
Okay.
And it would work really well with your little gem pattern. Oh, I love it. Anyway.
Sure. Thanks, I hate it.
and then the weapons technician.
Which honestly sounds like such a fucking euphemism, does it not? Like,
Weapons technician.
Donna over there, she's such a weapons technician.
In my defense, he spends a lot of the film
All right,
talking about
Matsumoto.
specific weaponry in the robots and not making anything.
All right, Matsumoto, with your green laser and your fucking robo fist. Oi, oi, that's me. All right, babe.
All right, darling.
He gets punched in the face and bruises quite severely immediately.
It's the future, Rosie.
Did you
It's the
notice
future.
that?
We don't know.
Everything moves faster in the future apart from the
Apart from
fighting.
Apart from everything else.
Yeah. So literally, he gets like a bonk to the noggin,
Mm-hmm.
and it has like a massive bruise on the side of his head, and he's really like, ah. It just like breaks him entirely. But yeah, that made me really sad because he was my favourite character, and then he got shot in the head in what I would consider to actually be quite a dark scene.
There were a few.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning of this, I know you sort of said you wish you had seen this when you were a kid.
Yeah.
But apparently obviously the writer and director, Stuart Gordon, had a massive difference of opinion during the production because Stuart Gordon, in his head, was making a movie for adults that would also appeal to children, whereas the writer was writing a film for children that would also appeal to adults. So they massively clashed throughout.
No, I can imagine. But like the bum bleachers,
Like
Yeah.
Russia and America.
that was really dark.
Yeah. The scene where the crowd is like
That's my two-
decimated.
No, that's
But,
what
like,
I mean. Like,
yeah. But also, interestingly, the screams from the crowd are sampled in a Nine Inch Nails song.
what? So your sound cut
Hilariously.
out.
The screams from the crowd
Yeah.
during that scene are sampled in a Nine Inch Nails song.
No way.
Yes way, which I just think is my favourite.
What song? Do you know?
I can't remember the actual name of the song, but it's like one of my favourite trivia for this movie.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. But I thought that scene was really kind of a bit. Oh, this isn't for children.
No, there were a few moments like
that. Man
that.
just got visibly shot in the head.
Yeah. But you can
Yeah, that was quite dark.
approaching the film knowing that the writer and director were taking completely different tacks. Like it makes the film make a lot more sense.
It does make a lot more sense because there's a lot of like misogyny and sexual tension and like dark moments, but actually their overriding story of it is like robots punching each other in the face.
And like the campiness and it doesn't. It works just fine for adult audiences who know what they're getting involved in, but otherwise it might be kind of confusing if you just sort of watched it thinking it was a kids film or thinking it was a film for adults. You might be like, what? Whereas,
And I mean, I guess, sorry.
I was just going to say, like, 30 years later, we kind of have the benefit of going, that's what this is.
Yeah. But also kind of nods at what we talked about just like before is the difference between the opening scene of like this war-strewn wasteland
the Terminator-esque.
compared with like a sports movie with robots. You know, there is a huge kind of discrepancy between the tones just between those two alone. So,
and they
like,
have
that
really
definitely
made
makes
it
sense.
kind of like baseball league.
Yeah.
But it's robots fighting over countries.
Like there's the audience in the spectators in a stadium. There's referees who kind of can disqualify.
Make terrible decisions.
Yeah, like there's so many sports cliches and sports
Bum patting.
bump patting, yep.
Grab
Fisting.
assing. Wait, what? I don't know much about sports. Tell me more.
Green lasers.
Green lasers.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
And
That's netball,
and they all
right?
sleep in space pajamas.
Oh, you make that sound adorable.
I really want some space pajamas. They're like he's wearing when he's sleeping. He's wearing a big silver. He's wearing like a skin tight silver sleep suit.
can we talk about how fucking hilarious they look in the suits that they wear in the robots with like just the hood? They look
like
ridiculous. They look like they're wearing sort of morph suits with the face cut out.
Yeah. They're wearing like a really shit balaclava.
Yes. Really shit in that it does not conceal your identity.
No, it's not fit for purpose.
Yeah.
That's not what a balaclava's for. It's not to hide who you are as a person, Sarah. It's to keep your face warm.
Says the person who's never robbed a bank. Good Lord.
That sounds awfully like it's coming from somebody who owns a balaclava, to be honest.
Do I look like somebody who has robbed any banks recently?
You are a bit of a brat. You wouldn't
know, because I'd be wearing a balaclava. Touche.
Yeah, but I would know because you can't keep your fucking mouth shut and you would have told me by now.
Fair, yes. Hey, guess what I did?
Did you rob a bank again?
I didn't. Again?
Shh. Don't tell the people.
Rosie.
Athena shoots him with a glue gun. It is a glue gun.
It is a glue gun,
really?
And then it's not a glue gun, and then it's a glue gun again.
The continuity in this film is somewhat lacking.
And also, can we take a second to talk about her very, very obvious male stunt double?
Yeah. Oh, but the same mullet. With
the same terrible haircut, yes, I'll allow that.
Arguably, I think that her stunt double is Sargon. I think her stunt double is the asshole guy who she ends up pushing off that metal thing and him dying.
Do you think?
And then he comes back as her stunt double. Yeah. The one who's like, Achilles, I will fight you.
Yeah, that guy's a dick.
Yeah, oh, he totally deserved to die. Upsettingly, you don't see more of him dying.
But again, that sort of calls back to is it a kid's film? Is it an adult's film? Who the fuck knows? Death, but sort of.
You can't be a jock, you're a lady.
Recurring theme. So, sort of winding up to the end of the film.
Mm-hmm.
What do you like?
Yes.
Can I just make quick mention of the fact that one of my favourite lines from any film ever in recent memory is, please evacuate the robot. I don't know why. Favourite sentence.
I did write down the line, I squash you like a bug.
There were some cracking lines, to be fair.
My favourite wasn't actually a line, it was in the subtitles.
Okay.
Because I watched it on Phil's Netflix account and he always has the subtitles on. So I watched it with the subtitles because and there's one bit where he, in the scene, goes, and it says in brackets, speaking inaudibly.
Oh.
Like you need subtitles to know that he's not saying anything.
No, like the person who was typing it was like, I don't fucking know.
Speaking inaudibly. Like, it fucking killed me. It absolutely killed me.
And
like,
also,
says nothing.
In terms of like memorable lines, this film has given me my favourite phone call sign off of all time.
Oh God.
Just to give you guys a warning, if I'm ever on the phone to you and I just go, end of transmission. You now know why.
Well, how do you know it's set in the future if you don't hear end of transmission?
That's true. If they'd just been like, over, could have been whenever, could have been any time.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
I was a big fan of the fact that they kept on during the final fight, like switching between Laplace's face and Grey Suit Boss's face, and they're both just going, "Oh my God, it's so horrible!" Or when something good happens, they're going, "Oh, the day is saved!" And yeah, that filled my heart a little bit.
There were some quality reaction shots.
I love that woman. What's her name?
Laplace.
Well, I know that. I just said it. Like her actual name.
Wait,
Her real life proper name.
the lady from
The
Don't Look
blind
Now.
Don't Look Now lady. Yeah.
Oh, Hillary
You're gonna look
something.
it up.
Hang on. Hillary. I want to say Hillary something.
Are you thinking of that guy Hildebrand?
Maybe. Give me a second.
I got really excited during
Hillary
the
Mason.
final fight. Ah, yeah, that's the one. I love her. I think she's great, and I think she is criminally underrated.
Also not blind.
Also not blind. Total liar.
Which is testament to her quality acting.
There was a little bit of kissing, not between her,
I was going to say, I missed that.
but Achilles and Achilles
Go on.
kisses recently unconscious woman.
Yes.
Nobody who sees it blinks an eye. It is totally inappropriate given the situation, and it's never brought up again.
It's the future.
Oh, people just kiss each other willy-nilly now, do they?
Post World War III, apparently, yes.
That's what's going to happen when we all come out of lockdown, isn't it? Everyone's just going to be snogging.
Yeah, I saw
Just snogging all the time.
I saw a meme the other day that was just like, when lockdown ends, I'm kissing each of my friends on the mouth for 45 minutes each. And I was like, yes.
Oh, you're going to get such a smooching.
Fucking better.
It was at that point I got really excited because Achilles takes over. Achilles gets back in the robot, and I genuinely thought there was going to be a space fight. I got really excited.
No, there was no.
I got
space
really
fight.
excited.
To be fair, the
No space fight.
synopsis sort of like buoyed your expectations for a space fight.
Robots that can fight in space.
Yeah.
And then they're in space, and then there is no fighting.
Yeah, we soon discover that there's a world of difference between can fight in space and do fight in space.
Right. They literally went into space. One of them hit the other one on the ankle, and then they came back down from space in the space of about 2 minutes to exactly the same place they took off from.
Yeah, that happens.
They went into space. One went, pew, hit the other guy's foot.
Yep.
His Achilles ankle.
Yeah.
Nice. And then, he hurtled down to Earth and just happened to land in exactly the right place to carry on the fight.
Why were they called Achilles, Athena, and Alexander? Why does everybody's name start with an A?
Because
Whose decision
they
was
couldn't
that?
be asked to look through the rest of the name book. I don't know.
We missed the character called Aardvark. Listed first in the credits.
Maybe that's what the guy in the grey suit is called. Aardvark.
That would make sense.
No space flight. He now no longer has a working foot on his Robo-Man. So he turns into Bumslider 3000.
I wish
I
they
did
had
love that
called
bit.
this movie Bumslider 3000.
That was my favourite note that I took. The other one was Fist Pumper 3000 when he was going doof 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 doof.
Could have dual meanings, but yes, sure.
Oh, right, because the rest of this podcast hasn't had dual meaning.
We've talked about fisting a lot, Rosie.
A lot of fistings.
More so than usual.
Which is
Just to
saying
clarify.
something.
I liked that Achilles' robot turned into what was effectively a dog that had worms.
I love the fact that Phil's
just kind
just
of
like,
like-
if anyone's tuning in for the first time, there's not normally this much fisting.
We talk about bums a lot.
So back to the
but
bum
yeah, he
scooching
just, like,
robot.
He like scooches
Yeah.
himself across like he's got terrible worms, hides underneath like this horse robot, just punches him in the dick.
Yeah. I've got nothing, but yeah, no, that happens.
If I were to ever get into an actual real life violent fight,
would you?
I can't help but feel like that is how I would conduct myself.
Just bum scooch a bit and then punch someone in the dick.
And then punch them in the dick, yeah. And just hope that a chainsaw doesn't come out of it.
I would. Do you know what? I could 100% picture you fighting that way. It's that weird.
Scooch, scooch, scooch. Have that, you can.
I mean, I would expect you to go at least a little bit, like 25% Danny Dyer as you did it.
You muggy little cat.
I'd be disappointed otherwise.
That is exactly what would happen.
I want to make very, very quick mention to the Tommy Wiseau laugh towards the end.
Right.
That's not how humans laugh. Stop that.
No, I also particularly liked when Achilles takes down Alex's robot and he goes, yeah, shakes his fist out.
So much fisting.
My favourite bit at the end was so when Alexander is like lying down after just, I presume, having been punched after getting out of the robot. He must have been on wires or something, because it's physically impossible to stand up the way he did with the position he was in. Because he kind of had like both legs and arms kind of outwards, and yet he just goes whoop, just stands up.
Well, at one point when he's walking in the robot, in inverted commas, that's a full-size model. That's not him.
Is he a Thunderbird?
It's no, literally they must have used a robot, because the way that he's walking and the way that his arms and hands are manipulating wasn't.
Oh yeah. So yeah, there was it did seem like couple of scenes would have been stop motion, couple of scenes would be miniatures, a couple of scenes, like you say, would have been suits.
I literally mean like a fucking robot human that they put in the robot and then they made look.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Yeah.
A robot
definitely.
human?
Yeah.
There were robot costumes.
What's your problem?
Some of the fight scenes would have been robot costumes.
A robot?
I know what a robot.
Like
don't
a human.
say it like that. A cyborg.
That looks like a human.
A cyborg. A
A
Cylon.
bionic man. Ooh.
What about a bionic lady?
But we're talking about a man.
Sexist. Carry on.
I mean, some of them are quite nice to look at, though. Again, end fight where they're punching each other, like really slow fight.
Oh, all of it was
really slow fight. Like when you get to the end of a wrestling match when they're both fucking knackered.
Do you know what it's like?
And they're
Do you know
just
what it reminds me of?
Flopping around on top of each other.
A fucking turn-based video game.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh,
now you swing
God.
for me.
And you're just...
Now you swing for me. Now I'll swing for you.
And you're just sitting there desperately wanting to Leroy Jenkins
pressing the X button over and over again. The film basically concludes in Achilles throwing his weapon away because he's a fucking idiot, and this guy has been wanting to kill him for ages, and goes, but we can live. And the Russian's like, no, I am Russian, we must kill to survive. And he's like, no, but we could just not though. And he goes, oh,
all right then.
And then there's a really aggressive fist bump.
So much
like
fisting.
Really aggressive. And that's it. That's the end of the film.
Yeah.
He basically gets all of his latent anger out in one fist bump.
The culmination of the film is literally, why can't we all just get along?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No resolution for what happens with the land. No resolution for what happens to Alex after he went in direct contravention of his own company.
Many infractions of the rules.
They went in like a weird sort of, is it a romance thing? And then we're just like, nah. Credits.
Yeah, definitely not a romance. So the friendship was the gift that we found along the way.
Also, fisting.
Friendship and fisting are the two gifts that we found along the way.
Fisting was the magic all along.
Fisting was the true meaning of friendship all along.
It was then we realised we had the fists inside us all along.
This film.
Do you know what?
Go on.
Again, I wish that I'd seen it as a kid, because I think I would have wholeheartedly adored it, especially again, like 7 years old or something, loving robots, like loving that ilk of like Mechazord fighting nonsense. I would have been all about it.
I wouldn't have been allowed to watch it at that age.
I don't think my parents would have been necessarily bothered enough to watch it through to make sure that it wasn't suitable.
Robots,
so I think I would have got
fine.
away with it. Yeah, it's got robots in it. It'll be all right. But
5
watching it
minutes
as an
later,
adult,
what's fisting?
I want to evacuate the robot. I thought you were gonna say.
I can imagine like tiny Rosetta just being like, "End of transmission."
I thought you were gonna say that you were gonna end phone conversations by going, "Please evacuate the robot."
I mean, I might do that too. Who knows?
Just a selection
see what
of
sticks.
a selection of quotes from Robot Jox.
Yeah,
will be how you end phone conversations from now on.
That's the only way I converse. Henceforth.
All right, I'll see you later, Sarah. I squash you like a bug. I don't think that I missed anything necessarily watching it as an adult, having not watched it as a kid, but because I did kind of get that like nostalgia feel from it, from other stuff that I watched in the early 90s that had robots in. So I don't feel like I missed anything, but I really would have liked it. Yeah, it definitely had that.
Like my favourite term, I think, for that sort of thing.
Totally had that, which I'm really glad about, and I can see why it's a cult film. It was hella enjoyable. There were lots of bits that made me a little bit angry, but it was acceptable in the 80s. Yay!
Yeah.
And I'm willing to look past that shit in order to appreciate the film for what it is. But yeah, super enjoyed it.
I think that's really important though, because like a lot of films that I love from the 80s would not fucking fly now. I mean, look at how problematic John Hughes is. I'm not going to stop enjoying The Breakfast Club just because they're all awful. Yeah. But I think it's important to go, oh, they're awful, but I'm going to enjoy it anyway.
Yeah, like it's separating the time from the art kind of thing.
Yeah, you can acknowledge that it's problematic, but not let that sort of eat away at the nostalgic value of it, because it was a different time.
And I mean, honestly, I kind of feel like their heart was in the right place with this as well, because they're kind of going, yeah, but it's a woman and she can do good things too, and you're like, well, fucking yeah, she can.
Look at her with her spunky short haircut.
Yeah, they're not like, oh, it's a woman and she's really shit at everything and she's screaming and let's pat her on the bum. Like, they're trying really hard. They kind of miss the point, but they're trying really hard.
Yeah, I agree.
Because at the end of the day, she does fall into damsel in distress. And is saved by the all-American male protagonist.
All rubbery male protagonist.
You rubbery little fister.
Lets her emotions get the better of her, doesn't she?
Yeah, because she feels fear. Which proves she's really human.
What did you think, Sarah?
I enjoy this film a lot. It still confused me because I was waiting for parts to happen that didn't happen because they were a different film.
Well, there are 3 of them, aren't there? Have you seen the other 2?
Wait, what?
There are 3 of these films. There's Robot Jox, Crash and Burn.
What?
And then there's a 3rd one as well. There are 2 sequels.
Squeeze me? What?
Sarah's mind is blown.
It is.
There are sequela more.
I always thought there was like sequels planned that never happened. Da fuck is what I have to say.
You're like, I am IMDbing
I am
this shit.
IMDbing this stuff right now. No, I think Rosie kind of summed up my thoughts on it. I didn't see it when I was a kid. I saw it for the first time maybe 7 or 8 years ago. So,
okay.
Yeah. So
Did Matt show you?
No. I think I found it on my own. But it was probably one of those things where I'd like watched a Stuart Gordon film and I was like, I'm going to watch everything this guy's ever done. Incidentally, completely forgot that he directed Fortress, which I also love.
Okay.
But it definitely does benefit from that bird nostalgia and from the fact that it's so influenced by things that I think a lot of us did enjoy in childhood. And it rides that wave really nicely. It's not a film that I would recommend to everyone. We have this conversation so many times. It's a really fun movie, but I think you have to be with the right people. It's a good film
that's good to watch your friends and a beer.
And beers, yes. But it's the sort of film you have to watch with the right people. I think it could suck the fun right out of it if you watched it with people who were expecting, like, Pacific Rim, for example.
I was really sad that I didn't watch this with you guys.
I know, I
I think we would have had like such a good time if we'd watched this all together.
Same. I'm sad.
I was just sitting at my computer, like
really
drinking some
weird,
orange squash, like, oh, it's funny. I really like it. It's funny.
Making notes on my own. It's just like it's not the same. It's not the same. But I do enjoy this film a lot. I'll watch it again. It's not my favourite of that era or that ilk of movie, but I think it's genuinely really entertaining. For all its flaws, it's a genuinely entertaining movie, and I think it's got some really kind of some cool effects. I do love the stop motion. I think there's a lot about this film to recommend. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, just to ride the coattails of what you guys said, exactly that. I think it's fun to watch as a bit of a, like, exercise in what's possible with practical effects, just because they do so many things. It's not just stop motion, it's miniatures, it's like back projection, it's people in robot suits fighting each other. Like, there's a whole range of different kind of solutions they had depending on the context of the scene. So that's really cool. I think there's a better film in there if it was more focused, which I'm sure you guys will probably agree with, because the whole idea of like these fights replacing war is established but then never really expounded upon and never really taken seriously. Like if it had opened with, robots fighting is now a sport, you could basically tell the same story.
That's true, actually. And that would have kind of lent more into the whole it's primarily for kids angle, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think maybe that was Stuart Gordon's influence, because he, like we said, he was trying to make a film for grown-ups. So maybe they sort of lent on the war angle a little bit more to boost that side of it. I don't know. I think you're right, though.
Because there does seem to be underdeveloped ideas in there that are supposed to be hinting at something larger. Like you say, that the kind of all the pregnancy kind of birth posters that are seen everywhere. The idea of like...
and like the sister-in-law being like, just doing our part, like, because she's pregnant again and they've got like 1 billion children.
Yeah.
But so they never go into it. She's like, just doing our part. And it's like, what does that mean?
There's clearly like some idea they had that influenced the script, but never was actually sort of explained within the script itself.
Yeah, a lot of kind of half-baked ideas.
Yeah. That said, though, it is super fun. It's super fun to watch. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Good one to watch, as we've said, with kind of friends and getting a couple beers in and snacks and stuff. Not one to take seriously, but just A drink of your choice.
A beverage.
And it's just exactly. Just to
Bill...
switch.
Sorry, carry on.
No, just gonna say, just to switch your mind off and enjoy robots punching each other. Really,
I agree.
Bill
Yes,
Moseley
Rosie.
is in Crash and Burn, which is the
Bill
sequel
Moseley!
to Robot Jox. Yeah.
Fucking Chop Top. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I have to see it now.
Paul Ganus? Well, it's spelled Ganus, and I didn't want to be like G-anus. So, yes, thank you, Philip.
Gayness.
Paul Ganus. Paul Ganus plays a man called Tyson Keene. But, right, I'm just going to read this out. Unicom is a powerful organization overseeing most of the world after its economic collapse. They have banned computers and robots in an attempt to ensure life, liberty, and the pursuit of economic stability. Sounds like a fucking Tory. When a Unicom synth robot infiltrates a Southwest TV station and kills the manager, a revolutionary against the Gestapo-like corporation, a lonely Unicom delivery man must help the rest of the station survive through the incoming thermal storm. Oh my god, it sounds shit!
And thank you for informing us on that. But anyway, I think that just about wraps up our thoughts on Robot Jox. If you've got any feedback how this new kind of style of show works while we're all socially distancing, let us know. We'll take it into account. But until next time, we will see you later.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.
Beat you.